you need to follow this C4A formula, which is, consented, clean, comprehensive, and continuous and actionable data. So, do you have all of that in one place? All this boils down to, my favorite, which is training and education. Do you have the right talent to maximize, the tool capability? Otherwise, you may have a Ferrari, but, if you don't know how to drive one, you can't win the race.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of DigiPlus Dialogues. Today, we have with us Mr. Hiren Desai. He is the head of marketing ASEAN and South Asia Standard Chartered Bank. Welcome to the show, Mr. Desai. Thank you very much for your time. On a scale of 1 to 10, if you were to rate your experiences using generative AI in marketing function, how much will you rate it and why?
I'll rate it at 7-ish. It has been a tremendous tool. I'm just saying tool, but the whole technology adoption recently, with the induction of Chat GPT, it went viral. It has been great. I think for marketers, especially, there's so many tools now being built on the back of this technology and making things so simple and easy for marketers. Right from generating content, converting into different formats, automating a lot of repetitive tasks. So, suddenly even a small time firm can, produce quality content at speed without much cost and, go out to the customers. So I think it has been, wonderful, introduction, and it's just starting. So, we all are excited, for the immense promise that it has for marketers and, customers in general.
Fantastic. We have seen in Asian countries, many of us are straight away leapfrogging to mobile being our first screen of consumption of content, and that has enabled a lot of return part data coming into the marketeers domain like yours. But do you see us making this abundance of data, converting this abundance of data into actionable insights?
I think for Asia, it's still some time. We are still catching up in this particular area, and that's largely because of a couple of reasons. Because the amount of data signals that are being generated out of Asia because of the increased activity and the mobile penetration of users is humongous. There are so many millions and billions worth of data signals that are being generated every day. But the challenge is, the organizational lacking tools and expertise to analyze data, at that scale, and then, interpret in an actionable manner for it to then use it for immediately, for marketing use. And the other thing is, if you don't have that level of, infrastructure or talent, it can actually take you to a very different direction, because data, if you don't have an end objective or clearly defined goals, what you want to achieve out of it, data on its own, if you just start reading, it may take you to, a different path and might come up with totally different insights and actions. So, I think these are some of the areas where Asia is still catching up. And, hopefully, when we come up with data strategy, we focus more on, the infrastructure, the talent, and even before that, at an organizational level, do you have clearly defined goals and objectives?
You mentioned technology, and I would like to ask you here as an EdTech and a MarTech expert, how do you see us, what would be the deciding factors for marketeers to leverage technology in the best of its ability?
There are many factors, right? So some of the factors is, for example, first understanding the market. Asia, if I take an example of that, culturally it's so diverse, and because of the diversity, the behavior totally changes, by each and every country or even by the region. So an understanding of that, competition, are you in a niche category or a very competitive market? And lastly, the tech maturity of each country or market. So that is one of the factor. Then the second factor is choosing the right technology. There are tons of MarTech stacks available out there, either in a full stack capability or an individual product. So understanding the capability of each, the chemistry between them or compatibility of different stack or the tools, and if you bring all together, does it help you save money and then still allow you to reach your goals and objectives? So that's number two. Data analysis, I think this is one of the biggest factor when it comes to martech growth, because martech totally depends on the data input. And I always say you need to follow this C4A formula, which is consented, clean, comprehensive, and continuous, and actionable data. So do you have all of that in one place, which requires number four factor, collaboration. You need to collaborate with your analytics team, with your business team, with your IT team, with your management, to make sure that at an organizational level, you are able to actually maximize the MarTech stack, because it's not just for marketing teams, but there are so many other use cases that can come into the play. And lastly, all this boils down to my favorite, which is training and education. Do you have the right talent to maximize the tool capability? Otherwise, you may have a Ferrari, but if you don't know how to drive one, you can't win the race.
Great points. Another boiling topic that we see now is integrating generative AI into your MarTech stack. What are the immediate challenges that you see if you do so, and if you could list down some advantages as well?
Okay, so the quick advantage, as I said, content generation is the biggest advantage. When it comes to integrating all of that. The second is personalization. I think this is where it can immediately start creating an impact, because there are so many vendors. Let's say Google or Adobe Target is one of them, where you can immediately integrate AI, analyze data in real time, and then start personalizing for your customer segment. So that can be easily achieved at a much faster rate. It can help you come up with predictive analytics. A lot of companies or organizations, they talk about customer insights, but now imagine you have this AI tool where it allows you to mine the insight at like millions per second. So not just insight, but predictive analytics will also become very critical in that area. And then of course, cost efficiency. When you automate such large repetitive tasks, it saves you man hours and ultimately the money. So these are the immediate advantages when we talk about integrating martech in a generative AI. But the biggest challenge is the quality control. So is the technology able to consistently create an output of quality content, and does it align with, let's say, your brand's personality, brand tone, brand messaging? So all this requires a lot of human oversight, and you can't just completely automate and integrate with martech stack. The other critical stuff is data privacy. You have to comply by GDPR and so many other data protocols. So when you are integrating AI into martech, what if the data of user privacy is being compromised, or let's say bias? That's another challenge which AI, generative AI, has to overcome, because if your training model or training data has bias present, then the output will also have that bias. So that's another area where we need to be mindful, and then integrating with the existing system. So there's so many standalone AI stacks available right now, just like martech stack. But how do you then integrate with your existing ecosystem? Because what I see from my experience, that organizations are today actually already struggling to integrate the martech stack with their own infrastructure, and now we are talking about AI. So that's another element.
The banking sector, the one that you represent, where do you see the challenges when it comes to using data to improve the customer journey? And any category of brands that you think are actually doing it great, where they're utilizing data to improve the customer journey to the best of their ability?
Yeah, so when it comes to banking, the challenges actually multiplies a lot, just because money being in question. So some of the challenges when it comes to using data for improving customer journey is data integration. and the amount of data signal that bank has, right from transaction data, social media data, website data, data from branch, data from actual customers, their behavior, their at an anonymous level, even their transaction data is an insight. So, how do you mine all of these data and come up with an actionable insight in a privacy safe environment? So, that has been one of the challenge. And the other challenge is legacy systems. A lot of banks are still working on legacy systems. So they are in midst of upgrading, but it's still taking time to upgrade. Having said that, I see that, increasingly, a lot of BFSI organizations, banking and finance and fintechs and insurance, they are adopting, CDPs, DMPs, and many other MarTech stack, and they are understanding the value of data into, making customer decision, more dynamic and improving the whole journey. We are in today's uh, day, we are measuring, somebody who comes on our website until the person leaves, how many interactions he's had, how many pages, what content the person is consuming, of course in an anonymous level. But we are gathering all of that data and to understand, what could be the pain point in the customer journey, what could be the reason for drop off. Is it the product, is it the technology, is it the customer, the content, or is it the website flow, how it's being designed? So there are multiple layers that we are looking at it to improve the overall customer journey, right from not just acquiring a customer but even post acquisition. For any organization, your job is only half done when you get the person into the house, but then what are you doing with that person? Now that you have that customer, how are you building your relationship, your trust, and then maximizing the relationship with, more profitable business for both the parties. So I think, these are some of the areas where, we are looking at it when it comes to enhancing customer journey.
Correct. Correct. I would like to know your opinion on personalization, because there are diverse set of opinion when it comes to personalization. There are marketeers, like many marketeers who are saying it's a great tool to be in the arsenal. If you are trying to achieve or if you are trying to retain your customers. And then there is this Gartner report that says that 85% of you are going to abandon personalization efforts because of the lack in ROI that you are seeing. So what's your point of view on personalization? And do you think with Gen AI coming in, personalization at scale will become easier and cost effective?
Look, personalization can be a powerful tool when done right. So there is definitely a merit in personalization. There are various studies which talks about, like pros and cons of personalization. Of course, there are studies in favor of personalization, or not so much in favor of personalization, but it depends on many factors. It can be a time consuming and expensive uh, thing to implement. So, now generative AI, it might help as the sector matures more, but it's still a expensive and time consuming activity. So, do you have the does personalization actually fit into your overall marketing mix, and does it even require, for your marketing program? So I think the question has to be asked at that level, like, if an e-commerce is doing personalization, it makes sense for them because of the scale, and at the same time personalization efforts required to convert someone. But at the same time, a single, or let's say 2 or 3 product owner brand, they don't have many things to sell to a customer. There's only 1 or 2 brands to sell. So in that
Yeah.
case, it doesn't really change much when you change your messaging or change your imagery. So these are the things you need to ask to make sure that you do you even require personalization. Because I think personalization depends on the scalability of execution, and to make it cost effective and time saving, you need to make sure that you have all these answers. Otherwise, it can just become an award entry marketing team. But beyond that, it really needs to answer these organizational level questions.
Mr. Desai, thank you very much for joining us in this episode, and from a different time zone from Singapore. Thank you. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much, Anirban, for inviting me. It has been wonderful having a conversation with you.